So I am so excited that we get to have this conversation, Marta. And like I was saying earlier, we're just talking and we're talking about things that we are both very passionate about. We're extremely passionate about self-empowerment and empowering women and having great self-esteem and everything like that. So want to introduce you, of course, to the audience. You are Marta Spirk, empowerment coach and also speaker. So very excited to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to chat as well.
Yes, yes. So you were telling me a little bit about your journey in regards to your hair
hmm
and what that was all about. Can you share, enlighten me?
Yes, of course. So going back a little bit, I've always had like wavy-ish hair. And it wasn't until hitting puberty that the curls came on full force. And it growing up, it was a hard thing to deal with because my sister, my older sister, and my mom did not experience that. So it was kind of like that struggle of I didn't know how to care for it. My mom didn't know how to care for it. My sister didn't have any experience. All of my friends actually did not have curly hair or anything close to it. So it was always that battle of let me just look like everybody else because that's easier to care for.
Mhm.
Except it was always a struggle of every time I washed my hair, I had to have my mom blow dry it. It was all this process, and I'd go back and forth into embracing it. I wanted to embrace it, I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
And I think an important thing too is that I'm from Brazil,
Mhm.
and being down there, there's, we're very mixed as a
Mhm.
people. There's all kinds of different ethnicities, but at the end of the day, everyone wanted to have straight hair. There's all kinds of chemicals. There's something called Brazilian blowout for a reason,
Yeah.
because they developed all kinds of, chemicals and procedures and things to make your hair straight and so that it would last longer. You wouldn't have to blow dry it every single day or straighten it out every single day. And I went for it. I did all of those things. It would make my hair super greasy. I would have scaling, which would kind of look like dandruff. I would endure all of those things just to
Yeah.
have that straight hair. And I had considered going through a transition and not doing it again when I was pregnant with my babies. That's another part of the story. I had triplets
Yes.
4 years ago, and
Ooh.
that really sent me into this journey. Almost 5 years, actually. They're going to be five soon. Sent me into this journey of more self discovery, self reflection, and therefore more self acceptance for their sake and
Yes.
for my sake too. It's all interconnected.
Yes.
And while I was pregnant, because of wanting to avoid the chemistry and all of that stuff
Mhm.
in my hair, I embraced the curls back, but I was always blow drying my bangs to
Uh-huh.
make it look straighter and, never fully full blown going into it. And it wasn't until this year with quarantine, with not going anywhere, and actually having more of the time to look into products, to look into different routines, that I got into, okay, I guess I'm going to do this because I have the time. And
Yeah.
it turned into more of a self acceptance journey than I could have ever imagined. And that's why I'm so excited to be here and to share more.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I really do because like you hit on so many different points, culture, um, backgrounds, just everything around you. I mean, those are so many variables that
Yeah,
affect all of us, and we
it
we just
does.
don't always see it at the time.
Hmm.
Um, so the one thing I wanted to touch on was the first thing that you mentioned as far as not having, I guess, in your immediate circle, someone who had hair like you.
Yeah.
And that makes it hard. And I see that a lot with at work with clients. Clients will come in and it's like, you know what, I'm the only one in my family that has curly hair. I don't really know what to do. And I kind of feel like the odd person out. And I want to love my hair, but is at the same time, I don't have the tools that I need.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm here, to kind of to help people with that. So my other question to you, Marta, was it's like, how do you, as far as your process of accepting and self-love, what's that look like? How did you figure all of that out?
Okay, so it really started with my pregnancy, and then after postpartum, I think all of those things came into fruition of I need this time for myself, and everything goes back to having three babies at the same time kind of expedited, I think, or intensified this process, because I realized early on I would not be able to give individualized attention because there's three of them. And so
Mhm.
ultimately, what I realized is if I take care of myself and pour into myself, that's what's going to seep through. That's what they're going to get automatically without me having to be super intentional with what do I say? What do I do? Which I do have to be.
Mhm.
But the more I pay attention to myself, more of those things are going to be passed down to them without me even noticing, because that's really what we pass down to our kids and to the people around you.
Sure.
It's when you're not paying attention to what you're saying, that's the things that people are paying attention to, because it's who you are, right? So the more I work in who I am or accept who I am, the more I am teaching them that. And that's when I really dove into this process of understanding myself and understanding my personality. And it's a key part of my coaching now, almost 5 years later, is that self-awareness. And I use the Enneagram, which is a personality assessment tool, a
Mhm.
lot, that has helped me understand why I do the things I do. Why do I respond to situations the way that I respond to? Because everyone responds differently.
Mhm.
And there are different assessments and things out there that group people in different categories, not to label them, but to help you understand why you see the world through a certain filter, because we all do. And
Yeah.
of course, culture, just like what we were saying, culture and your upbringing, all those things come into play to create this unique recipe of who you are. And the
Mhm.
more you go back into understanding, oh, that's why, oh, that's why, oh, that's why, then more you're going to be aware in your next interactions and in your next, right? So it's not a process of judging yourself or beating yourself up. It's really understanding and being that understanding, warming, welcoming person to yourself, so that in return you can be that for other people. Because we usually think, oh, I'm such a kind person, oh, I'm such an accepting
Mhm.
person, I do everything for everyone around me. But once you start paying attention to yourself and see how you have not been kind to yourself, how you're not been accepting yourself, you will see that really you're not doing this to others. You think you are, you pretend you are, you tell yourself you are, but until you
Mhm.
truly love and accept yourself, you're not truly loving and accepting anybody else in your life.
I love that. That is, man, that's spot on because it's like, look at the man in the mirror, look at yourself.
Yes.
And and I think kids are great at that because they're a reflection of us in a way, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yes.
and they say things that like, wow, little human, where
Yeah.
did that where did that come from? Like you're so insightful for your age.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could learn a lot from you right now.
Exactly.
And I really appreciate what you were saying as far as, taking the time out to look at yourself, understanding what your past has been like, so that you don't react the same way that you did before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to get back to like the cultural aspect of it because, we're very similar, although I'm not Brazilian, but the roots are similar as far as, having like African roots as
Yeah.
well, right? So we see that just culturally, we've kind of been put in a box as far as your hair always needs to be straight to
Mm-hmm.
be accepted, to have the job, to get married,
Mm-hmm.
to not feel like a threat to people because of your hair,
Mm-hmm.
and how this imprints certain things into your brain
Mm-hmm.
and makes you think like this is who I am,
Yeah.
so I have to be this way. And for me, my journey really started probably when I was in school. And my story it goes like this. I was in beauty school. My hair was relaxer free. But in order to comply, I had to relax my hair in order to get my 300 hours to work on each other. So, that's kind of traumatizing in a way because, like, first of all, I really didn't want to do it. But second of all, I need the credit and I need to get
Mm-hmm.
through school in order to graduate, right? So that sent me down this road of knowing like, you know what, I don't want to do this, this isn't right. And it's just there's got to be a different way. And And I said, if I went through that at a young age, how many other women of color have gone through a similar situation just to have a job, you know, or just to be able to assimilate some way, not really wanting to fit in, but, you know, wanting to assimilate.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, wow, there's more to this. And then, like you said earlier, understanding the backstory of why certain things happen a certain way. And I
Mm-hmm.
think for a lot of us, we're breaking out of that shell,
Mm-hmm.
and we're understanding the true story of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm happy for your journey that, you know, COVID has been very turbulent. Everything has been turbulent in a lot of ways. However, there's been a lot of good things that have come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, what you were saying earlier, as far as finding yourself, your hair, and what that meant. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, it was more of having the time. And another thing that happened too, so interesting, is that my sister had a daughter. She's like a year and a half younger than my kids, and her husband has really curly hair. And the baby was born with curly hair. So she already has a full head of Goldilocks. She's like the Goldilocks. She has blonde hair, but it's already all of the curls. So it's not like with me with hitting puberty. She already has that. And it's so
Mhm.
interesting that, you know, when we're together, people would even think that I'm her mom because we have that hair. And it made me, it stirred something up in me as well of look at how beautiful she is. She doesn't even know what's going on. She was just born like this, you know.
Mhm.
And my sister was already thinking, I want to make sure I foster that and I honor that because she knows my journey as well. And that really put me in this space of there's so much information out there, more so than when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And my sister was kind of already looking into the curly girl method and wanting to get products. And she was already kind of tuned into these things, and she started sharing it with me. And I remember when she started sharing, I was like, oh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for this. I kind of blew it off to
Yeah.
begin with. And then with having more of the time and thinking, you know, I'm not going to be able to go because at first with quarantine, everything got shut down. You couldn't even go and, you know,
Yeah.
go to the hairdresser to get a haircut or to cover my grays and do all the things. And so I thought, man, this is a good opportunity for me to start watching these videos and start trying some of these things. So little by little, I started buying products, understanding what things would damage the curls and not help with the curl pattern. And I started, you know, buying those things and experimenting and following different people. And then I started seeing that this is so similar to the journey of motherhood, to the journey of
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, because there is no textbook, there is no guidebook, because everybody's hair is different because it's genetics,
Mhm.
right? It's a
Mhm.
different combination. And so that's why you need to try different things. And somebody that looks amazing, you look at them and you're like, wow, why isn't my hair like that? But
Mhm.
for one thing, you don't know how long they've been doing it. You don't know how long they've been embracing their hair or the
Right.
transition. You don't know if their hair is thick, if it's thin, if it's, so there's lots of different terminologies, if it's porous, if it's, you know, which kind or whatever. So I started learning all these things and comparing to motherhood. Like I cannot compare my motherhood journey to somebody else's that don't have triplets. 100% different, right? I have lots of triplet mom friends that I know. Instead of having two boys and a girl, they have two girls and a boy. That's a different journey too. Some of them ended
Mhm.
up getting a divorce. That's a different journey too. So I cannot compare. It has to
Mhm.
be my own journey. When you think entrepreneurship, the same thing. I don't know how much money they're making. I don't know how much time they have. Some
Right.
entrepreneurs that are making so much money, they don't have triplets. So that's something else for me to keep into consideration, right? So,
Yeah.
and it really opened my mind to see this is my story. This is my thing. And it's fun. It can be fun. It can be a
Mhm.
fun experiment into seeing this works, this doesn't work. My hair likes this today. And now it's super humid because it's about to rain. It's going to look different, you know, or
Mhm.
now winter's coming and it's going to be so dry. This is going to look different. I actually don't have a whole lot of curls right now because I just had more highlights done. So that changes the
Yeah.
pH of the hair. So it's going to take a little bit for it to settle back down. And that is okay. Because most of the time, really, it's our insecurities that come out. It's not really that people are looking at you and thinking, wow, that looks strange, which they may be thinking. But at the end
Right.
of the day, I have learned that the only reason why things offend me, whether it be hair, body, anything, it's if
Mhm.
I'm already insecure about those things. If I'm owning it and loving it, the chances of me getting offended by somebody's look that I interpret it as something offensive, right?
Mhm.
Everything is very relative because it really comes from within.
Yeah, you've already beat them to the punch. I like that. And and I think that's kind of sometimes like the downfall of YouTube,
Mhm.
is because like we compare ourselves, like this person, her hair is just like mine. We look the same. I'm
Mhm.
doing the exact same regimen, everything, but the results are completely different. And
Mhm.
then you start feeling some type of way, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, wow, what did I do wrong?
Mhm.
And there's so many variables that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
You
Exactly.
know, like you said, we're not seeing the genetic composition of things.
Mhm.
We're not seeing her chemical makeup. We don't
Mhm.
know if there's certain types of medication that a person may be
Exactly.
taking that affects the hair. There's so many different things.
Mhm.
And that's for me, that's why I have like my branded shirt on here.
I love it.
Love your hair, love yourself, because
Mhm.
once you do, you understand yourself a lot
Yes.
better
Mhm.
and you can share that love with other people
Mhm.
and more confidence. The one thing I wanted to touch on before we finish, you mentioned your beautiful triplets that are now about to be 5, and the changes that had on your hair,
Mhm.
not only hormonally,
Mhm.
but just physically. What did you notice before and after?
So while I was pregnant, I was wearing it curly, like I said,
Hmm.
and just blow drying the bangs because wasn't feeling comfortable with it and I didn't know what to do with it. So I thought that was the way. And now looking back at those pictures, I'm like, why was I doing that? It would have looked just fine, but whatever.
Right.
And then I went on. I did get the Brazilian blowout a couple times after pregnancy. And
Hmm.
so I didn't really allow my hair to do its thing. And with this journey of, starting with the coaching and really the coaching of life with having triplets, and just like what we were saying, kids teaching you so much and seeing myself in them and seeing things that I didn't even want to see, you
Yeah.
know, um, all of those things contributed to it as well. But the fact that I have a little girl as well, and this goes for the boys as well, but we know how much pressure women have to look a certain
Hmm.
way, to talk a certain way, and I know men too, but it is different. We have to
Hmm.
agree that it is different. The expectations are different, and the pressure is different as well. um with having a daughter, and with having so many people say, oh, you look just like her, and then now I'm wearing my hair curly, she asks me, can I brush your hair? And I say, no, I don't brush my hair once it's dry. I do it when it's wet, because now I style it different. And she said, well, why do I have to brush my hair? And then so it's beginning those things of, it's different and I look different. And she says, I want to look just like you. I want to have curls just like you.
Hmm.
So I did do some curls with the curling iron once, and she was loving it. But of course, I'm not going to do it all the time because it's just, so time consuming. Um, but a big part of my coaching and in this journey has to do with the self acceptance, and to just bring a quote that I take with me, that I found once on Pinterest.
Hmm.
It said, see your beauty without compliments and without a mirror. And that struck such a chord with me because my entire life, I have only truly seen what I'm capable of and what I'm in my potential whenever somebody would tell me, or whenever I would look in the mirror. And that's why, straightening my hair meant something, because that's how I saw myself as beautiful. Or even I remember times of being in the salon, in the chair, with having my hair wet, and even thinking, who am I without my straight hair? I don't really like my face without my hair. And to talk about people that go through chemo and have to give up that altogether,
Hmm.
we attach our identity to so many different things instead of just finding that identity within. What if I lost all my hair? What if I lost all my belongings? Who am I? Right? We don't think about this until the time comes.
Hmm.
And when having my kids really made me think of all these things. Who am I? Who makes me me if I'm not the triplet mom, or if I'm not the girl from Brazil, or if I'm not, we don't think about these things until we hit rock bottom, or until we hit these difficult situations. And with that quote, it led me to think, I want to teach my daughter to see her beauty without a mirror and without any compliments. But in order to do that, it has to start with me. I have to be able to portray this for her and for my kids and for the women that I work with, as a coach, that the more I see my beauty, the more they will be able to see their beauty, because I will be giving them that permission by leading by example.
Wow, I love that. I love that. And I think that's like a great way to end,
Mhm.
as far as final words. So thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
story
you.
and your love for what you do. I mean, it obviously it comes through, and just wanting to help people and like myself and other people that are out there.
Yeah.
So if everyone is, if you want to share your website and your coaching, the details will be in the link once this goes up. And definitely visit and follow Marta Spirk, empowerment empowerment coach and speaker, and she will be there for you along myself. This is Melanie Day with In Living Curls Hair Care Academy. Thank you, and I will see you soon.